Hello, team players. So, you guys answered my poll, so it's time to cover the ancestry you guys want me to cover, and that is the Copaxi. Let's dive in. So, Copaxi are basically colonies of coral-like polyps that develop into anthropomorphic forms. They get a boost to constitution and charisma, as well as a free boost with a flaw in wisdom. They also have two abilities. The first is gravitonic attunement. You can ignore the clumsy and off-guard conditions when untethered in zero gravity. They also have the regenerative evolution ability. You can spend a month of downtime to retrain your Copaxi heritage. Additionally, anytime you retrain, you can perform other downtime activities, but only when retraining your Copaxi heritage, your ancestry feats, additional trained skills, skill increases, or skill feats, but not when retraining class features, class feats, and so on. Basically, anything to do with your ancestry, you can retrain, and you can do other downtime activities while doing it, which is actually kind of nuts. It means that you can change anything that your ancestry has. With this ancestry, you can change your entire character if you want, which is completely nuts. I mean, granted, you can't do other downtime activities if you want to change your class or anything like that. But yes, you could change your entire character if you wanted to and could spend the time on it with this ancestry. Now let's talk heritages, starting with Citykin Copaxi. Choose one profession. You begin training in a lore skill associated with that profession. If you would automatically become trained in that lore, you instead become trained in a more specific lore skill associated with your skill. So, if you already have something like cooking lore, then you could take something like knife lore. You also gain a +2 circumstance bonus to diplomacy checks to make an impression or request something from someone in your profession. This is decent. It's not great, but it's decent. I mean, diplomacy checks are useful. Moving on, we have industrialist Copaxi. These guys are trained in society. And if you would automatically become trained in society, you get trained in another skill of your choice. You also gain an additional language and gain the management material skill feat. With management material, anyone that speaks with you about a job, workplace, or office skill assumes you're a professional in that setting unless you present yourself differently. You can use society to make an impression on a professional or impersonate a type of professional or a specific individual professional. If you use the normally required skills in those situations, you get a +1 bonus to the check instead. Effectively meaning this type of Copaxi can impersonate just about anyone, which is awesome. Then we have the Inheritor Copaxi. These guys take no fall damage regardless of how much they fall, as long as they are conscious. The Moon Guard Copaxi gains 8 hit points from their ancestry instead of 6. In addition, they gain a bonus on saving throws against effects with the death or void trait. Again, a decent one. If you want more hit points, this is the one you want to take. Otherwise, it's not that good, honestly. Then we have the Self-Focus Copaxi. These guys gain any 2 of the following ancestry feats: Aggressive Antlers, Armored Shell, Coral Fists, Copaxi Scent, Four-Armed Copaxi, or Multi-Legged Copaxi. And finally, we have the Sky Scavenger Copaxi. If any effect would move these guys 10 feet or more, they're only moved half the distance. In addition, they gain the Steady Descent Copaxi ancestry feat. This one is actually pretty good. Only being able to move half the distance is actually pretty darn good. It means shoving basically doesn't work on you. It's a very good heritage. For your standardized ancestry feats, you have Ancestral Cantrip for Telekinetic Hand as a primal spell, for Ancestral Skills for Diplomacy and Society, Linguistic Prodigy, and the Ancestral Magic feat for Ant Hall, Telekinetic Maneuver, Levitate, Genetic Regeneration, Plant Form, and Pocket Vacuum, all primal spells, in addition to the Double Draw and All Hands on Deck feats. If you want to know what these feats do, you can check out my video on standardized ancestry feats, which is right here in the card. However, with Double Draw and All Hands on Deck, only Copaxis with the Four-Armed Copaxi feat can select these feats. For other first level feats, we have Aggressive Antlers. You gain Antlers unarmed attack that deals 1d4 piercing damage. This unarmed attack is in the Brawling Weapon group and has the Finesse and Unarmed traits. It's decent. I mean, granted, it is an unarmed attack, so you could technically use this in addition to your weapons. And it does have the finesse trait, so you can use your dex to hit. But otherwise, this isn't that great of a feat. Next is Armored Shell. You have an exoskeleton armor. It grants a +3 item bonus to AC, has a dex cap of +1, a check penalty of -2, a strength threshold of +3, and has the comfort and exposed traits. And you're trained in this armor. You can wear a flight suit, but you can't wear other armor. You can't install armor upgrades or etch armor runes into your exoskeleton. I don't like this one simply because you can't put runes on it, or you can't even upgrade it. So it's never going to be that good of armor, to be honest with you. It's not considered armor, which means you're never going to get more than trained in it. So it's really not that good unless you're a class that doesn't get armor at all. Then you want to take this, absolutely. But otherwise, there's better feats here. Next we have Copaxi Adaptability. You gain the Adopted Ancestry feat and gain one first level Ancestry feat from the Ancestry you chose for the feat. This one is actually pretty good. I mean, granted, with Adopted Ancestry, you can only pick common ancestries, but there's a lot you can do with this. So it's very, very good. With Copaxi Diplomat, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to diplomacy checks to gather information or make an impression against sapient creatures, as well as perception checks to sense motives of such creatures. This one is great outside of combat. If you're good with diplomacy, you'll probably want to take this. I mean, it's only a +1, but that can be the difference between getting jobs and not getting jobs. Or getting the information you need and not getting the information you need. So, this is very good. Copaxi Sense gives you imprecise sense with a range of 30 feet, which is decent. Not great, but decent. I mean, you can definitely use this to find people, but it's an imprecise sense, so I'm not a huge fan of this one. With Copaxi Superstition, if you attempt a saving throw against a magical effect but you haven't rolled yet, you can gain a +1 circumstance bonus to the saving throw against the effect. This bonus increases if the effect changes gravity or causes you to fall prone. With Coral Fists, your fists on an attack no longer have the non-lethal trait and gain the shove trait, which is awesome. If you want to use unarmed attacks, this is the feat you want to take. I mean, you can do lethal damage with them, and you can shove people with them, which is just awesome. Highly recommended. With 4 armed Copaxi, at any time, one pair of hands is designated as your active hands. You can change this designation from one pair of hands to the other by taking the switch hands action. You can only wield items with your active hands. And we also have multi-legged Copaxi. You've grown more legs, so your speed increases by 5 feet. This is another great one because more speed means more movement. And that means you don't have to spend near as many actions moving as you normally would. Great feat. And then we have Steady Descent. You can control the gravitational forces to make a controlled descent instead of falling. You glide slowly to the ground, 5 feet down and up to 20 feet horizontally in the air. As long as you spend at least one action gliding at the end of each round and haven't yet reached the ground, you remain in the air at the end of your turn. If you use this feat in zero gravity, you can instead move up to half your speed in a direction of your choice. This is another fantastic one. Effectively, you take no damage from falling, even if you're not an inheritor Copaxi. And you can just glide all over the place. It's awesome. And if you're in zero gravity, you just move half your speed in the direction of your choice. I highly recommend this feat as well. At level 5, we'll start with Adjust Gravity. For one action, you can treat gravity as being one step higher or lower, but you can't adjust gravity to extreme or zero gravity. This only affects you, your gear, and your movement. This lasts until the end of your next turn if you adjust from extreme or zero gravity. Otherwise, it lasts for 1 hour, or until you adjust gravity again, or until you enter an environment with a different gravity, whichever comes first. At 13th level, you can adjust gravity to zero gravity or extreme gravity. At 17th level, you can lower or raise the gravity by 2 steps. Another way, you can move around quite effectively, which means that you can be very effective at making sure that your allies can get flanks. Although Starfinder is all about ranged combat, so that's not as useful in Starfinder as it would be in Pathfinder. But I'm sure there's other uses for this feat. and it's highly effective. Moving on, we have Enhanced Shell. The item bonus from your exoskeleton increases to +4. And you can now use the install upgrade activity to install armor upgrades to your exoskeleton. Your exoskeleton has 2 upgrade slots. Now it's actually worth it to take Armored Shell, because now you can upgrade it. So that means it can be very effective. If you want armor but don't get armor, then this is, you want Armored Shell and Enhanced Shell, most definitely. Moving on, we have Heightened Metabolic Adaptation. You can retrain using your Regenerative Evolution feature over a week of downtime instead of a month. At 13th level, you can use it to retrain 1 feat or skill increase during your daily prep, but you can't use it to retrain this feat. Again, this is awesome. This effectively means you can change your Ancestry feat anytime you want, as long as it's during daily preparations, which is nuts. Basically means you can retrain anything from your Ancestry, which is absolutely insane. Then we have Quick Polyp Repopulation. You reduce the DC of flat checks to end persistent damage on you by 2. Decent. Not great, but decent. I mean, persistent damage isn't that common, but can be useful if you actually run into it. But I would definitely recommend Heightened Metabolic Adaptation over this. Absolutely. At 9th level, we have Adapt to Injury. Once per day as a reaction, if you're struck by a critical hit that deals physical damage, you can attempt a DC 17 flat check. If you're successful, the attack becomes a normal hit. Unfortunately, this one isn't that great. Honestly, a DC 17 flat check is really high. So, you're not going to get this often enough for it to be worth it, sadly. But then we have Extreme Copaxi Superstition, which requires Copaxi Superstition. You gain a bonus to saving throws against all spells and magical effects. In addition, you increase the bonus you gain from Copaxi Superstition to a +2 bonus, or a +3 if the effect changes gravity or causes you to fall prone. Again, this is fantastic. Just a bonus on all saves against magic, period. That's awesome. I definitely recommend this one. Next we have Gift of Gadathar, which requires Adjust Gravity. Once per hour, as an action, you can gain a fly speed equal to your land speed for 10 minutes. Being able to fly isn't as useful in Starfinder as it is in Pathfinder. It's absolutely broken in Pathfinder, especially at low levels. But being able to fly can help, absolutely. So, take it or leave it on this one. Then we have Resilient Polyps. You increase your maximum hit points by your level. When you have the dying condition, the DC of your recovery checks is equal to 9 plus your dying value instead of 10 plus your dying value. If you also have the toughness feat, this hit points gained from this feat and it are cumulative. And the DC of your recovery checks is 6 plus your dying value. This is basically the Copaxi version of Mountain Stoutness from the Dwarf, which is actually pretty darn good. I mean, if you're a class like a soldier, this is awesome. Just more hit points and harder to die. Copaxi make pretty good soldiers, actually, because of this feat alone. At level 13, we have Propelled Polyp Print, which requires Ancestral Cantrip for Telekinetic Hand. When you cast Telekinetic Hand, as long as you have line of effect and line of sight to your hand, you can use your Telekinetic Hand as the origin for spells that have a line or cone area. In addition, you gain the Polyp Print activity. For 3 actions, if you have your Telekinetic Hand active, you can appear in the space of your Telekinetic Hand and end Telekinetic Hand's effect. Meaning, basically, you get to teleport, which is just awesome. Means you can have your Telekinetic Hand wherever you want and just teleport right to it. And this feat also allows you to use your Telekinetic Hand as the origin point for spells, which is also really awesome. This is a great way to teleport around the battlefield and keep enemies away from you, or teleport right to them, which is awesome. I highly recommend this one for spellcasters. And then we have Repurpose Mystic Power. Whenever you succeed at a saving throw against a spell or magical effect, you can gain temporary hit points equal to double the spell's rank, or equal to the level of the magical effect if it is in the spell. These temporary hit points last until the end of your next turn. This is just get temporary hit points, which is another great way to use this Ancestry. And remember, you can change any of these feats anytime you want as long as you have the heightened metabolic adaptation feats, which means enemies will never know what feats you have, even if you faced them before, which is awesome. And for level 17, we have Connected to the Cosmos. You gain a permanent fly speed equal to your land speed, and you gain the cosmic traits. You can use your fly speed to fly normally in a vacuum or zero gravity environment. However, you are still susceptible to effects that require breathing while in a normal atmosphere, which basically means you can fly around in space, which is awesome, and you can fly normally in a vacuum or zero-G environment. I can definitely tell why this is level 17. If you get this far, you definitely want to take this one. And then finally we have Primal Polyps. You can cast Sound Body and Unfettered Movement as 7th rank Primal Innate spells. You can cast each of these Primal Innate spells once per day. Personally, I think Connected to the Cosmos is so much better than this. But Sound Body and Unfettered Movement is good. I mean, you can cast these on anybody. And Unfettered Movement is really good because you can basically make it so nothing can affect whoever you cast it on's movement. And Sound Body, well, that gets rid of stuff like poison and stuff like that. So that can be useful as well. But personally, I think flying normally in a zero-G environment is so much better in Starfinder. But that's just my opinion. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, and make sure you let me know what Ancestry I should cover next, either here or on the polls that I'm going to put on the posts on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.